So last week, we talked about the sometimes unpopular and controversial view of the age of the earth. And how do we find that and all of that? And there are three primary ways that we would come to this understanding of how do you explain the apparent evidence of a very old earth. One was the genealogies. Where we looked at, again, if you do the math, God provides the math, we do the math, and it gets us to about 6,000 years. So that's one of the first ways that we do it. The second way that we would help understand, or at least provide an alternate explanation, is the impact of the flood. When those waters released from the heavens and also boil up from under the earth, the weight of a global flood is going to compress the earth and will absolutely provide evidence of age on the earth. And then after the lesson was over last week, Beth Cat came up and asked a question. It's like, yes, thank you for bringing that up. I probably should have talked about it last week, but we'll do it now. So here's the third way we can help understand how possibly we could have the evidence of an old earth. Could it be that God created the earth with evidence of age? And here's where we get that even biblically. Adam and Eve were not created as infants. They were created as adults with evidence of age that they did not have. But they come into existence with age. So it very well could be that the Lord has created the earth and the universe with evidence of age already a part of it. So we can't dismiss that either. And again, I think there's a biblical case to be made for that. But as we talk about these issues, it's important to remember this is not a battle over science because there are no scientific proofs either way. It's interpretation of evidence. So what we do is go to our only inerrant, infallible authority, which is the Bible. And with that, we come up with an age of roughly 6,000 years. The true history of the Bible is where we begin our reasoning from. The earth looks only as old as the assumptions you start with. What assumptions do you start with? If we start with the Bible is true and trustworthy, that helps dictate these things for us. So as we continue on, today we're going to talk about a very simple concept, man's role on the earth. What is our job on planet Earth? We hit it a little bit last week by saying, have you ever considered that the purpose of the earth is 100% for the life of mankind? That is the only reason for its existence. It was created so that God would put us on it, which is why there are so many factors that if they were not exactly perfect the way that they are, life would not be possible on our planet. God designed planet Earth for the purpose of placing men and women on it because he loves us and provides that for us. So then let's talk about what do we do on this earth that the Lord has given to us as a gift. So Genesis 1, let's start in verse 26. Then God said, let us make man in our image, according to our likeness, so that they will have dominion over the fish of the sea and over the birds of the sky and over the cattle and over all the earth and over every creeping thing that creeps on the earth. And God created man in his own image. In the image of God, he created him, male and female, he created them. God blessed them and God said to them, be fruitful and multiply and fill the earth and subdue it, and have dominion over the fish of the sea and over the birds of the sky and over every living thing that creeps on the earth. Then God said, behold, I've given to you every plant yielding seed that is on the surface of the earth, and every tree that has the fruit of the tree yielding seed, it shall be food for you. And to every beast of the earth and to every bird of the sky and to everything that creeps on the earth which has life, I have given every green plant for food, and it was so. God saw all that he had made, and behold, it was very good. There was evening and there was morning, the sixth day. So let's ask some questions, and then we'll go from there. First, who's speaking in the passage? God. God is speaking. He's speaking at first to the members of the Trinity. Let us make man in our image. So he's speaking to the Son, to the Spirit, who we know are there. And then he is speaking directly to humanity. So what is the relationship between mankind and animals in the text? Dominion. Yeah. So, with no offense to PETA, animals don't run the world. Animals are not to be idolatrous. To some they are, absolutely. But that's not the case. Mankind is to have dominion over the animals on the earth. What part of creation, according to the text, does mankind have dominion over? It's all of it. Right? It's not just the animal kingdom. All of it. All of creation, including the earth itself and any living thing that's on it. What command does God give to mankind in verse 28? Be fruitful and multiply. Yep. What else? Yeah, have dominion. There's a third one. Subdue it. Yeah. So 3 distinct commands. Be fruitful and multiply. Fill the earth, which is a form of dominion. We rule it because we're there. We're present there. Subdue the earth. Have dominion over the creatures of the earth. How does God describe the created order that he has just established? What phrase does he use? Verse 31. It's very good. Yeah, it's doing exactly what it's supposed to do. Beforehand, he's described everything individually as good. God saw that it was good. But at the end, when it's all finished, it's very good. It's to the extreme of goodness in doing what it's supposed to do. So in previous weeks, we've talked about how God creates men and women in his image. And as an extension of that, God passes responsibility for the earth to them and to all of their descendants who would then fill the earth. So we need to make sure we understand a few key terms from the text. So the passage speaks of having dominion over the earth. So what does it mean to have dominion over something? It means to have authority. The authority to rule, as a king has authority to rule over his subjects. It comes really, our word dominate comes from the idea of dominion. Have dominion, same concept. Typically, dominate has a negative connotation to it, but it's the same idea. We are to dominate. We are to run the show. God has obviously ultimate authority over creation, but he's delegated authority over his creation to mankind. Now, that command is discussed within the Trinity in verse 26. Again, they're talking to each other. But then in verse 28, God speaks directly to Adam and Eve as he has created, and he calls on them to subdue the earth. So what does it mean to subdue? It means to conquer. It means that something would be subject to you. So to subdue the earth would include taking command over plants and animals. I think this would also include even the study of creation, to know how to exercise control over it, to understand how it works, why it does, and what that would mean for us, and how to leverage it for our benefit. Genesis 2:15. Then Yahweh God took the man and set him in the Garden of Eden to cultivate it and keep it. So we've talked about this before. This is before the fall. This is before sin comes into the picture and ruins everything. They're commissioned to work, to cultivate, to keep the garden, to do stuff with it. Why? So it will meet their needs. So it will do what God has designed it to do for them. Chapter 2, verse 19. And out of the ground, Yahweh God had formed every beast of the field and every bird of the sky. He brought each to the man to see what he would call it. And whatever the man called a living creature, that was its name. And the man gave names to all the cattle, to the birds of the sky, to every beast of the field. But for Adam there was not found a helper suitable for him. So God commissions Adam to name the members of the animal kingdom in order to have dominion over, to subdue the earth and its creatures. We look at creation, we see how it functions, and we do what we can to make sure it's under our dominion and control. And Adam's naming the animals. We don't know how long that process took. We don't know, how deeply he goes. Is he just sitting in a chair and a cow walks by and he's like, cow, moose? Is that how it goes? Or is he spending time looking more deeply at the animals, how they function, what makes this one different from that one? We don't know if he's spending some time studying the creation that God has given to him. And the fact that he names something shows his authority over said something. Adam is exercising his God-given dominion by assigning the names to the animals. It is to declare that he is in charge of all of these things. So the ordering of authority within creation is part of God's plan for the earth. Just as God exercises absolute authority over creation, mankind acting in his image, we exercise authority over his creation on his behalf. So let's just talk for a while, brainstorm for a while. What are some ways that we, as God's emissaries on the earth, representing his authority on the earth of dominion and subduing creation for our benefit, that we don't apologize for that. That's a good thing. We're supposed to do that. How do we do that? How do we exercise right and good dominion over the earth, subduing it without killing it? How do we do this today? What does it look like for us to have dominion over the earth? What are some ways that looks like? Did anybody eat today? Yeah, Michael did. Yep. That's what you do. Yeah, donuts. Not that there was a donut tree. Though, wouldn't that be awesome? And maybe in the new heavens, in the new earth, there will be a donut tree. Let's even talk about that, because that would matter. So to create something as glorious and God-honoring as donuts, what has mankind done? We have leveraged the natural resources that the Lord has provided, and we got creative and added things like sugar, and then cooked them, and then put glaze on them. Isn't mankind amazing? This is what we do, right? So when you eat, you don't just go out to your backyard and pull up some grass clippings and eat it. And if you do, yeah, we'll pray for you. Yeah, we're going to talk about you behind your back. We have the decency to do it where you won't know. That's not true. That's sinful. Don't do that. But this is what, you're not just pulling stuff off of a tree. You're leveraging the resources God has given to you. You're cooking it on a stove or in an oven. How did that come to be? Mankind took the resources in the earth and made it. We utilized creativity and engineering and all those great things so that we could have needs met. You all got dressed today. Thank you. That is our dress code here. Just wear clothes. That's our dress code. Unless you're on the stage, then it's a little bit different. But, if you're just here, just please wear clothes. Do you just wear, coverings like they did in the Garden of Eden? No. What have we done? We've utilized technology and the different natural things that exist in the world to create nonsense like this that people can wear. So what are some other ways? What do we do? So, again, think through this. What do we do as created beings to exercise our dominion over the earth? Medical, yes. Great example. So, why is the average lifespan so much longer today than it has been in other eras of history because medical technology. The things that would have killed you a generation or two ago that were a death sentence, they do at the walk-in clinic now. Isn't that cool? You know, we talked about my friend Brandon before, who at the age of 40 was diagnosed with leukemia, like child leukemia that kids get. It's very deadly for adults. And they had to do a bone marrow transplant for him, which once upon a time, bone marrow transplants were horrific. In a week or so in the hospital in tremendous pain, he sat in a chair for 6 hours on his phone. And they said the worst part of the bone marrow transplant for you is the boredom. Didn't hurt at all. They put a needle in his arm. That was it. And they said within 10 years, it'll be an outpatient procedure. I mean, this is unreal. Before it was crippling and deadly. Now you just sit in a chair and watch a movie for 6 hours. This is what the Lord has called us to do. Be creative, to learn, to grow, to study, to research. This is why these things are important. So what else do we do? What's that? We drive cars. Yeah, that is like a double-edged sort of effect, right? So it's got some consequences of doing all of that, but we've become a mobile society. So what have we done? We've invented engines and cars and safety features and airbags and all that kind of stuff. That's all God-honoring as we subdue and have dominion over creation. Yeah, what you mentioned something. What? Transportation. Okay, yeah, so same thing. Yeah. Yeah, we set laws. There are limits to these things because we see some of these things can have a dramatic effect negatively on the creation that we're called by God to steward. I mean, it's His, and we're called to run it, which carries with it some accountability that we're going to answer for. Again, that doesn't mean we turn into liberal, woke tree huggers. That's not the point, because if you go too far that direction, you end up idolatrous and worshiping creation. Read Romans 1. Humanity has done that from the very beginning. So we don't do that, yet we steward and manage the creation responsibly as much as we can because it's ours to run. God has granted us that. Yeah, so what else? Yes, ma'am. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, responsible farmers. It becomes more sustainable. They're the ones enabling our soil to continue to produce the nutrients. We're not just taking advantage of it. We're trying to do all that we can to put it back in so that we can continue these practices for as long as we need to till the Lord returns. Yeah. Yes, ma'am. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Think of the human ingenuity of that, of discovering that from the very beginning, when God put the sun in the sky, there was energy coming from it that we could harness and put panels on our roofs and power some things in our house, which people ought to be researching right now, considering what's happening with electricity prices. So again, the engineering creativity, the research that went into that this is a new phenomenon for us as humanity, but cool. And all that did was discover a power that God embedded in creation at creation. And we're just catching up with it and utilizing it for our own benefit. That's God honoring. Bill. Ooh, that's a great question. Yeah. It's always fun when we get to talk about space and aliens, right? So apparently we have some form of dominion over Mars. It's not mentioned in the biblical text. We've yet to find a species there that, do we have dominion over, if we were to find that, do we have dominion over said species? Do we attack them? What do we do? Because, sinful humanity does what it does. So does this mean that we have dominion over? Well, considering we're the only ones there, Probably. We at least do for now, until something else, comes about. And how cool is that? Again, think of the creativity of that, of, hey, the earth is wonderful. God also made that. And what if there's some resources there that could benefit us? That could certainly fall in line with being God honoring. Could also be something other than that. Just it depends on who's doing it and for what reasons. Yes, sir. Money and trade. Yeah. We've created systems of how to contribute to society, to get paid for it, and then to buy goods and services. I mean, we are absolutely genius as the human species. We are. Not because we're patting ourselves on the back. This is how God has designed us. God gave us the brains that we have. You should use it. Even regarding our faith and studying. But, we don't look at the earth and go, oh, God created it. I don't have to care about anything else. It's not true. No, he gave us this to research, study, to be genius about and do the things that we've done. Yes, ma'am. You held up your phone when you did that. Yes. Communication. So all the way back to smoke signals and all the kind of stuff mankind used to do before. You're probably not out building a fire doing smoke signals in your yards. And if you are, why? We're not doing carrier pigeons. That kind, which is a form of dominion over the animal kingdom. That kind of a thing. We're not doing those things. What have we done? We have harnessed the natural resources embedded in the earth that the Lord created and built iPhones with them. Isn't that great? I mean, again, double-edged sword. Your smartphone isn't smart and you shouldn't do what you do with it. And you probably need to put it down more than you do. But think of the creativity and the ingenuity of all of that. And which is why we're grateful, even for pagans like Steve Jobs, who did what he did. I mean, he's a terrible person. Read his biography. He was an awful pagan man. But we benefit greatly today from his genius. And we're grateful for that. That's a man created in the image of God who's utilizing the resources of the earth for its benefit. Man, how great 2007 was when the iPhone came out. Yes, it came out in 2007. Now, before that, you haven't had it forever. It feels like it, but it hasn't been that long. It's amazing how something so small can literally transform the world in just a few years. So what are some other things that we do? Yes? Yeah, zookeepers, animal caretakers. And it's not just that they're feeding the animals, they're helping save them from extinction so that mankind can continue to benefit from all of that. They're, when they're not out showing animals to little kids, they're in the labs that are hidden in all those buildings doing research so that we can know more about the animal kingdom that the Lord has created and given to us. Absolutely the case. Yeah. Glasses. Yeah. As one who is almost legally blind without corrective lenses of some kind. Like, I'm not allowed to drive without them. It's on my driver's license, all of that. What did people do before eyeglasses? I can't imagine having to live my life without corrective lenses. I wouldn't know any of you. And now, as I've gotten older and it's gotten worse, now holding it up to my face doesn't actually make it better, it makes it worse. Now I have to do this. So I just can't see either way. So if you see me, driving in town, just pull over. Just pretend I'm an ambulance, pull over, and it's safer for everyone. Yeah. 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 How many medicines and natural cures and all that come from natural things the Lord has already granted to us? When you have a sunburn, you go to an aloe plant to help you with again, example after example after example. We've done all these things, and even herbs and stuff. So think of food. So it's not just that we go kill an animal, put it on a spit and cook it, which is glorious in and of itself. What do we do with it? We put salt on it. And we put all these things on it so it'll taste better. We've discovered how great and kind God is that he gives us the stuff just because it tastes better. It's pretty fantastic. We are grateful for that. Yeah, what else? What? Chocolate? Did you say chocolate? No. I personally don't like chocolate, but good for you. I don't like chocolate, and I don't like peanut butter either. So I think Reese's peanut butter cups is what Satan serves in hell. And my children don't like chocolate or peanut butter either. So, yes, sir. Yeah. Yeah. So, domesticated animals. Yeah. So it's not just we observe the animal kingdom, we train them and move them into our house. I mean, how crazy. I have cats that sleep at the foot of my bed every night and then go poop on my floor in the morning. Right in front of the litter box. No kidding. 6 inches in front of the litter box. I'm pretty confident she perches on the litter box and goes on the floor. Yet, this is what, and as Sean would say, is what I get for having cats. Because I'm pretty sure she does it. She looks at me like, I hate you so much. Because she's a cat. Yeah, dogs don't do that. They poop on the floor and they're too dumb to know it. That's what dogs do. So we take these animal species and we put them in our homes. And we let them play with our kids. How awesome is that? And we learn a lot from them, don't we? Your life. My life would make a good sitcom. Yeah. Yep. No one would watch it. Yeah, but yeah. So what else? We can almost forecast the weather, which, how awesome would it be to have a job to where you can be wrong 8 out of 10 times and still be good at it? Wouldn't that be great? Man, if 8 out of every 10 of my sermons, people left going, that was the worst thing ever, which it may happen. I'm not going to have a job for long. That's just the way that it is. Yeah. Music and art. Yeah. So we take these natural things out of creation and we invent instruments and put together stuff like this. It's ridiculous. The creativity of mankind, all granted to us by God. And in fact, if you read in the early chapters of Genesis, the first family of musicians are introduced to us. Yes, the Jackson 5. Yep. ABC, easy as 1, 2, 3. Simple as do, re, mi. That's right. And there's one back there. Yeah. Yeah. Public servants, the services offered in our community, we've created government systems. So as population increased, we figured we need to govern ourselves. How do we do that? So we've come up with laws, which was already mentioned, and governmental systems. We need to put people in these positions of authority and write policies, to guard us and protect us. That's their job. Read Romans 13 and read 1 Peter of the job of the government to reward the righteous and to punish the evil. I mean, how great is that? And then you've got a negative example of what happens among humanity. Nations go to war against nations, and now we need soldiers. We need men and women who will step up and go on our behalf to another country and fight there for what we are blessed to experience in this country. Again, where does all that come from? It comes from the mind of a creative God who has created his creatures in his image. And now, look at the world that we've built. Again, it's certainly got some evils in it because we're sinners. But think of all the other stuff. That's his image stamped on our soul. Yes, ma'am. Yeah. Simple stuff. Yeah, if you've read a book recently, that's major technology to take spoken language, invent alphabets, which we did. That God didn't give us the alphabet. We invented that and a language to go along with it so that we could communicate. Incredible sorts of things. Yeah. It's Moses who's writing the book of Genesis as God reveals it to him. So we're not talking about Adam and Eve doing the alphabet and all of that. You've got the Syro-Phoenicians and all that. These early cultures who are inventing the first alphabets and what does this look like? Again, we've got God teaching obviously language to them. At least not what's inherent in us as he created. We don't know what language capabilities he gave to them when they were created. But all that takes time to develop. And now we take those incredible phones that we have and we can just push on a screen and hit a button and somehow it goes from that to space to relay with technology that we've put in space, and then it comes back down to your phone. Because we could do that, because I text my own kids when they're upstairs in my house. But it doesn't just go straight to my kids, it goes through a satellite first. I mean, it's incredible technology that we just invented. So again, the more you think about this stuff, everything that you do, everything that you enjoy, everything that's a tool in your life to use, this is what God has ordered for his creation. He gives it to us, and then we view it rightly. We don't worship it. We don't abuse it. We leverage it for the good things that God has granted to us to have. What a wonderful gift system that the Lord has given to us. So you've got some homework there with you of how do we respond to these things, and it gets pretty practical for you in all of that, of these different scenarios and how all that goes down. And we'll continue next week. 1, 2, 3, go team.